color solitario. Déjame decirte que mis pensamientos y tus sentimientos yo veo en mis sueños, que mi alma siente morirse pequeña. Por hablarte de mi tierra quiero, hablarte de ríos y cielos celestes, hablarte del viento y sus cantares, del amor de las flores, la tierra mojada. Déjame mirarte por esa ventana. Déjame mirarte por esa ventana, que por las mañanas yo veo en tus ojos el brillo de tu alma color solitario. Déjame decirte que mis sentimientos y tus sentimientos yo veo en mis sueños, que mi alma siente morirse pequeña. Déjame mirarte de mi tierra quiero, hablarte de ríos y cielos celestes, hablarte del viento y sus cantares, del amor de las flores, la tierra mojada. Déjame mirarte por esa ventana.
There it is. There it is.
What does that song mean to you?
There's just something so whimsical and beautiful about it. It's like it speaks to my soul, and I don't even know what the song's about. It's called La Ventana, like the window in Spanish. The cover of a song from Bolivia. The singer was William Llarena. He's a very special person in my life. And today was a sad day, so I wanted to hear that song.
Do you want to know the English translation?
Yes, I would love that.
Let me look at you through that window. For every morning I see in your eyes the glow of your soul tinted with loneliness. And let me tell you that in my thoughts, I carry your dreams and your feelings. And in my soul, it feels like dying a little death. I want to talk to you about my land. I want to talk with you about rivers and heavenly dreams. To talk with you about the wind and its ancient songs. About the love of flowers and wet soil. I want to talk with you about my land. I want to talk with you about rivers and heavenly dreams. To talk with you about the wind and its ancient songs. About the love of flowers in wet soil. Let me look at you through that window.
It's everything I imagined and then some.
I hope I picked the right song. It's called La Ventana.
Yeah, that's the right song for sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I do speak Spanish, but for whatever reasons, when I hear that song, I haven't decoded the Spanish of it. I just listen to the melody. And then there's some words that I do know, like La Tierra, which they translate as my land in that translation, but it could be translated as the earth. I want you to know about the earth. Like he's whispering something mystical, you know?
There's Shimshai and Susanna. Do you know who that is? They're the ones that I guess have the most. There's like a video of them, and it was their lyrics, whoever they are, saying that song. So did you hear it in ceremony the first time? Did it just kind of come to you today after the events of the day? Has it been in your space for a little while?
No, just when I sat down and I was checking out there's a few changes to the UI in StreamYard, and they separate out the media assets from the style, which makes sense because they were grouped together in the same tab. And so I went down to the media assets. I was remembering, oh, what's in this category? You have like the logo, which we have on our page, and then they have, things like the things you can pop on the screen. And then you have the music samples. And I was like, I had never tried to upload a music sample.
Oh.
But then I was like, what would be a good song for tonight? I was like, La Ventana.
Wow.
And I also realized that, because, we had a false start with our live stream, that when you press play, it doesn't restart from the beginning. So it started like, a few seconds into the song. In the next timeline, when we do this, we'll start it from the beginning.
Yeah. But it's also that you're just entering a conversation that way.
Totally.
I really like that vibe. Wow.
I'm also reminded that, because, every time we go live, you press a few buttons, that we can add an intro video to our live stream. Which is really cool to like start making some cool ones, and then just over time put the best one up, and then when we get sick of it, put a new one up.
Yeah. We could start with those memes put to music and just have a standing image.
Totally.
Which is fun. Like, the Tonight Show and old shows like that would always do that. They would have a single picture of the like Tonight Be Right Back or After the Break or some shit like that.
Right.
Like just a slide. I should give you access to the Canva, and you can just pull any of those.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I was like, why do we look so much bigger today?
Yeah, we should try that. Do you want to try that?
Try the intro?
Try this bigger.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see
Oops.
how this looks and works when we chop it up. Although you can always kind of change the frame, like the what is it, Spike Studio? It's definitely not the best editing, but you can see it's the kind of thing like they keep adding features, and so you can move it a little bit, but it's not. There's like some parameters around it, so This might be worse when we're larger, but we'll see. Just try different things. We have to try all these things anyway, and then we'll know. And then I'm cutting up getting some clips from the show with Arch.
Right.
And it's like, my first thought was like, oh, the first ones it showed was us watching the thing on Steppen and stuff. And I was like, oh, this won't work for clips. It's like, we're not talking. But then I went back and looked at it freshly, and I was like, this is a great fucking clip.
Right.
Like, it's just an interesting clip. It's like, we don't even have to be in it. It was just showing an interesting part of the documentary, but you're very limited in the parameters of where you can put and you can only get 2 cameras. So I just, put us listening to it as best I could. And then you have the captions, and then the description's just about Steppen by Rodney Stokes. And you put that as a short. And it's like, oh, this is so cool. Like, we can anybody who comes on will just rep their shit. We'll just throw up some shorts. Because the Infinite's about fucking Steppen and third rock hip hop and chess and, all of it.
I was thinking about the chess thing today, and I want to make a suit for our friend, like a full-blown suit, but have all the beautiful, crazy things that are on the Infinite logo, and then sponsor Vaughn to be in a chess tournament. And then it'll be sponsored by the Infinite, and then also superchess.com. And then we're going to stake him in as many tournaments as he'll do.
And then we can record it and make videos of it.
Yes. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. We'll make a documentary of what it takes to become a master.
Yes. Mastery. We'll make a documentary about mastery.
And it'll be called One Move Away, because you never know when the move's going to happen, when it's like, oh shit.
When it clicks.
That was the move. And then we'll know in hindsight. Then you go back and be like, oh, remember when that happened? And then after that, you didn't lose for 6 games and you beat that guy. What happened? What was the move? What was the spark of creation?
I mean, Vaughn's a savant. Just wait till we go through this process. Like, he will do this. He'll walk this path with us. He's like as crazy as you or me. He'll do it.
Dude, the kids are watching. Mr. Beast has this new game show. Do you know about it?
I heard about it. Yeah, I heard about there was like a lot of tensions filming it or something like that.
So without getting into too much detail of it, it's the most amount of money ever given away on a show with the most amount of contestants that cost the most amount of money to make.
Right.
And so $5 million prize, 1,000 contestants, and 1,000 cameras, I think. So I bring that up here because that is just the evolution of a guy doing whatever the fuck he wanted on YouTube, but following his joy.
Totally. And giving it away and watching as the universe
and
is
giving it away.
Dialogue with that commitment. I have a confession to make. I've never seen a Mr. Beast video ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know who he is. He's entered the mainstream thing. He's like the #1 YouTube creator who makes the most money. I've read articles about him or seen titles. I've never seen a Mr. Beast video.
I think I've maybe seen a couple. So I'm not too far ahead, but it's an incredible story. And you attach that to what Gary Vee says about post content. And that's what Mr. B said too, but he's spent so much time. I mean, they'll test every little detail. You build up to that. And you spend a bunch of money, but then you make a bunch of money, and you spend a bunch of money, you make a bunch of money. So if we sponsor chess players and then make documentaries about it, there's some level of like, how far do you go at what stage? But you just do whatever feels right at the time.
I want to do the chess thing.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. The Infinite show.
It would be such a cool documentary too.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like NASCAR drivers wear their sponsors on them?
Yeah.
A full suit. And just like the Infinite Show has all the cool like different versions we made. Like I want to be all those little tiny icons. I want to be all over the suit.
Totally.
And then also superchest.com, superchest.com, superchest.com.
Yeah.
So brought to you by the Infinite Show and superchest.com.
Yeah. I love it. It's so fun.
I mean, Superchest is ready.
Hmm.
I have all the code written.
You just have to put the site up.
It just had, I mean, there's a learning process there, but I've already worked with the AI.
What would it take to put it up?
Maybe one session of me sitting down for a few hours and hitting my head against the wall until my eyes bleed. And then there'll be a breakthrough and then it'll work. It might take multiple days when we want it to be live on the internet, because there's multiple steps to do that, like to be working from the cloud. But I bet you I could create a mock-up, like an MVP, pretty quickly.
Would you rather do that, or would you rather just pay somebody to put it up?
Both. Like, because, you know, if you pay somebody to do it, they still have to go write all the code. But if you use AI to write the code, you speed up your process by 1,000%.
Yeah. So yeah, if you did that and then had them, that way you don't have to learn code.
Right. Well, compiling code, and then the thing that takes a long time is downloading all these different things that then you need to then, because, you know, the applications you need to write things or put things into the cloud or onto the website is different than the code that you use just to write the initial game. And then if you wanted to create an AI, like a chess that you could play, you know, a chess bot that you could play against, that would be its own thing too.
Would you essentially, not to oversimplify, but essentially you just say, take the exact code to make a game of chess and add to it 2 more squares for each team.
This is what I did.
1 pawn and 1 queen.
Yeah. It was like the first thing I did with AI. Like,
like that's all you would need to do, right? Essentially.
No, it immediately understood it. I mean, the 2 things I immediately went with, because I've been waiting for AI to get to the point where it could help me build these 2 projects. And the 2 projects are the Oracle of Light and Super Chess.
10% more fun.
10% more fun. That's exactly right. Which comes from that meditation app. And I forget the guy's name that created it. You know what I'm talking about?
Calm.
10% happier or something like that. Or like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. 16. Well, it went from 16 pieces to 18 pieces. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. And from 64 squares to 72. I mean, honestly, if you throw it into the AI right now and just say exactly what you just said to me, it'll kick out a different version of a different code to do it. 10% happier with Dan Harris.
It'd be a little bit more than 10. It would be like 12.5%.
No. Let's not get greedy.
If we go, if each piece represents an equal amount % of happiness.
Well, Vaughn remembered something that I couldn't believe that he remembered, which was, at the time I was thinking about how could you correlate all the pieces of the chessboard with some type of oracle, so that depending on where you finish the game, then it would kick out an oracle, like based off of where the pieces were at the end of the game. You follow my logic? Like,
yeah, it's like reading an empty cup of Turkish coffee.
Exactly.
Where do all the rinds leave off?
I mean, that's, I don't want to say simple to do, but because there's straightforward steps of how to achieve it, it is very achievable.
Yeah, although there's a tremendous amount of permutations of how a board can be completed.
I really like thinking about permutations.
I mean, shoot, like you have to take for it to have the possibility of how a chessboard game ends, you have to take every piece in every square against every other square with every permutation of every other piece possible in every other square when they are in each square.
That would be a beautiful way to do it. and also a brute force way to do it. But you could also just create simple rules and then have an algorithm.
Like how many, but it's possible, like theoretically possible, that a chess game could end with nobody taking any other pieces out and somebody being a checkmate. Right?
So nobody ever dies, but
nobody ever dies. Is it possible?
It's a great question.
Probably not. But
you have to use the horse a lot, I bet.
Yeah.
So that you didn't kill people, but still got in a position to start to checkmate the king.
Oh my gosh, the number of, because you're now taking, how many squares are there? 64 squares?
Usually on a normal board, which is 8x8, there's 64 squares, which is why I started thinking about the connection between a chessboard and an oracle, because the I Ching has 64 hexagrams. So, and then moving from 64 to 72, I was contemplating what's the connection between this sacred numbering system that is based off of 64 and perhaps other types of systems, like in Judaism and mysticism, 72 is a sacred number. So I was like, what's the difference between 64 and 72? That's what I was contemplating when I came up with the idea with Emily of Super Chess. And we would always take chess boards with us everywhere we went, and we'd always play. And one day we went camping, and we were camping in the woods. And then we came up with the idea, like as an idea, we were just talking about it. And then when we went home, we actually built a board. And we did it by accident, just adding an extra row or column or whatever you want to call it, with like tape and like drawing in the extra board with like felt markers and then taping it onto the board. And then Emily started painting all these different super chess boards with watercolors. And she made like beautiful versions. And then we laminated them. And then we started playing. And then we realized it's brilliant. It like truly is slightly more fun version of chess. Because it creates all these different gameplay scenarios that you've never seen before in chess. Like, I'm not a pro. I'm not a master. I have no desire to be that. I love the like interesting configurations you get into with on the chessboard. And I like bringing my queen out, you know, and you're not supposed to bring your queen out so soon, but I want to bring the queen out and have a good time like that. You know what I mean? And now you have two queens to play. So if you do end up losing a queen, it's not the end of the world because you still have another queen. So there's many games where you lose a queen, but then you end up winning the game because you still have all these other great pieces on the board.
Yeah.
If you lose the queen in most versions of chess, regular chess,
you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
So like you can kind of be a bit riskier, and there's like a lot more interesting gameplay that happens. And there's like been a lot of times, because Emily's really good at chess, that I like thought I had her like so close to pinning her to checkmate. And then she comes back and just whoops me because I'm overly aggressive. So I like leave some pretty gaping holes in my defenses, you know?
Just draws you in.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Like a Black Widow.
That's exactly right. Like, oh, I'm just a helpless pawn over here.
Did you ever hear Theo Vaughn's joke about the Black Widow?
No.
He said, man, my boy got bit by a Black Widow at a bus stop. Yeah, man, she's about 45 years old. Just mean. Like, and it took me a couple times to actually get it. And then I was like,
that it was a real woman?
That it was like a Black woman who was a widow at a bus stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Rumi knows the word. My daughter Rumi knows the word Black Widow because we have lots of spiders on our property, and some of them might be Black Widow. So between poison oak, which she knows the word for, and Black Widow, those are like two things that represent poison or danger to her. And she just name drops them at the funniest times. Like Emily told me they went to this like book reading at our local bookstore, and then all the kids had something to share. And when she shared something about Poison Oak and made all the kids laugh. And I was like, "That's amazing!" And then Rumi got really sad.
Oh, she didn't
Like,
want them to laugh.
no, she was happy then. But when Emily told me the story tonight, because I wasn't there, she got sad when Emily told me the story.
Why?
We didn't know. We were like, "Sweetheart, no, we weren't making fun of you, or it wasn't bad." Like, we had to like reassure her that she'd made a joke and everybody thought it was funny.
Mm.
And she's definitely like entered her I understand jokes phase of her life. Like, she starts doing funny things around us and looking for the laugh. But right now, she walks up to us and she sticks out her butt. And she goes, and she goes, "Gotta go." And then she runs away. And she realizes when she does that, people laugh. So she keeps doing it, you know? And then Ayla, who's 2, my 2-year-old daughter, just copies. She's like a sophisticated parrot, just copies Rumi. So she comes over and she goes, she can't like do a fart noise as well. You know, it's like a bad fart noise. But she goes, "Gotta go." And she like doesn't really speak that well. So it's like, it's like a sophisticated parrot saying the words "gotta go," you know?
So sweet.
So that's one joke she's been cracking. And then another joke is
It's the mirror and the monkey right there, by the way.
the mirror and the monkey. Exactly. Rumi's other thing is, you know, we don't let her, Emily doesn't let her watch a lot of videos or TV. She's very careful about what she curates to let them watch. But she lets them watch the 1991 version of Pride and Prejudice, the British melodrama, with like five episodes. I don't know. And I don't even know if I did the year right, but it's from the early 90s. And the reason why is the cadence of the show is so slow. So Emily isn't worried about overstimulating her nervous system. But Rumi sometimes talks with British accents, including like she's like does this thing where she keeps calling Emily an old maid, but with a British accent, and then it makes me laugh. And so Rumi keeps doing it because it makes me laugh.
Is Emily getting tired of it, or is it still cute?
It's still cute. It's like, and I can't remember what the full line is, but it's like, I'll have to remember. It's like something, "Old maid,
get me some juice, old maid."
Old maid, yeah. Calling somebody an old maid is just
calling your mother an old maid.
Yeah, with a British accent.
So cute.
All right, I got it.
It flies by.
Oh, the kid's getting older, for sure.
Yeah, one of the kids that got dropped off today, his stepdad, who's known Nate for a while, dropped him off, and he hadn't seen him in a while, and he was just like, "Well, his voice got lower." You know, like he noticed.
Oh, about Nate.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's big. He's got like strong legs, got a bunch of hair on his legs. His voice is dropping. Like, man, just like a little. He was 2 years old at one time, going, "Gotta go,
gotta go,
yeah.
gotta go."
Yeah.
There was a topic I wanted to talk about. There's something I saw that I wanted to share, talk with you about.
Yeah.
So Robbie Williams, who's a singer, British singer, do you know him?
Yeah, he had an album I really liked in the 90s.
Exactly. He's come out with a new movie, and it's about a monkey. And the main character is a monkey or an ape, or I don't know what, you know, like everybody else is human, but then there's one character that's a monkey or an ape. And the movie is about this ape. And then they wrote a song for the movie that's like the most important, like soulful part of the movie.
Yeah.
And Robbie Williams, and the movie's gotten really good reviews, like stellar reviews. And I've seen a couple ads for it, you know, previews before other movies going to the movie theater. And I think you should put it on and we should talk about it for a sec. And then I want to tell you the next part of the story, which is what I wanted to talk about.
Better Man?
Yeah. See if you can throw it up real quick and just listen to the first 30 seconds.
Interesting. Okay.
You could also play it on Spotify. Yeah.
Here, I'll pull it up on YouTube, and then we can share it.
I'm Robbie Williams. I'm one of the biggest pop stars in the world. This is my story, but I'm not going to tell it in an ordinary way because I don't see myself how others see me. For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine! To be honest, I've always been a little less evolved. I don't want to rock, so let's take it from the top, shall we? I sit and wait. My dad was well enamored by the stars of the day. You can't learn it. You're either born with it or you're a nobody. There's an angel.
Don't want to be a nobody.
Contemplate my fate.
You're enough.
The places where we go when we're gray and old.
You got in? You're in that band?
I'll do this fucking baby! Shut up, you tits!
Oh, fuck off, Glenn!
Mother!
Look around the table. In 5 years, we're all going to hate each other. But we'll be rich.
Do I look like a pop star to you?
I wouldn't change a hair on your head.
And through it all, she offers me protection.
I want to prove I can make it on my own.
Proof to who?
Everyone.
And down the waterfall, wherever it may take me.
Songs are only valuable if they cost you something.
If you're gonna laugh, do it on the inside, yeah?
And know that life won't break me.
I don't give a fuck what they think.
You give a fuck what everyone thinks.
Remember, I believe in you.
Through it all. So, the story starts. I'm loving angels instead.
Okay.
Cool.
Now, let's listen to the first 30 seconds of the song
Okay.
on Spotify or anywhere else where they're just playing the song, because that was the trailer for the movie.
This song that they played in the trailer, or a different song written for the movie?
The song is called Better Road. And if you find any version on the online where they play the first 30 seconds of the song, I'm sure there's
Okay.
a YouTube music video, and I'm sure there's a lyric video, and I'm sure it's on Spotify.
Better Road?
Yep.
It's not on Spotify. Maybe not because it's not out yet. There's a song, Better Road, by a guy named Cliff Preston, but not by Robbie Williams.
You want me to play it?
Yeah, go ahead. Better Road. Forbidden Road is what it's called.
Sorry, Forbidden Road. I was reading it from an article that misquoted the name of the song. I'm so sorry.
And I looking it up, it's been disqualified
Oh,
from Oscar.
that's what you weren't allowed to read yet.
Oh,
Yep, we're doing a test. So pretend like you didn't read that. Let's listen to the first 30 seconds.
okay. Okay, I found it. Do you have it? Or
No,
do
you
want me to
play it.
share it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you go.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, the article that I was looking at misquotes the song in the title. That's hilarious. It's the wrong title. It's not called Better
Interesting.
Road.
I walked along a forbidden road. I had to know, where does it go? Like birds are flying to the sun, I had to run. I'm not the only one. Why do you look at me that way? I'm not a problem that needs solving. The truth is still evolving. Life is the choices that we make. We're the masters of our own fate, the painter and the paint. You need to lose your mind to get back to the light. Sometimes I walked along a forbidden road. I had to know, where does it go? Like birds that fly into the sun, I had to run. I'm not the only one. Maybe I'm never satisfied. I made a lot of poor decisions. Yeah,
You want to hear the whole song?
That's good. All right.
Pretty song.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So here's another song I'm going to play for you. And here it was. I thought I was in this article, and it's not. Give me one more second.
So I was, okay. I was thinking, so here, let me piece this together. I saw it got disqualified, and I saw that you wanted to talk about it. So listening to it, I was thinking, what does this song sound like? And there was two that came up for me. And I happened to see what's highlighted on the article here. But I didn't read the article, but that was one of the two songs that I thought it sounded like.
Got it. Did you know the name of the song or the singer, or what? Or you're just like this?
No, I actually did, because it's so I Got a Name by Jim Croce is one of my favorite songs to play on guitar.
Amazing.
The first song that I thought it sounded like, though, before I thought that, just from the opening chords, was actually Don't Think Twice, It's All Right by Bob Dylan.
Totally.
But then when he got into the singing and more onto the verse, moving into the chorus, I thought it sounded like I Got a Name by Jim Croce.
Should we listen?
Do you know this song?
Very well.
Yeah. Well, should we listen to this one or back to the Robbie Williams one again and then see where it sounds like it? Do you want to hear this one first?
Well, let's listen to this one first, because some people have never heard of the song. So I want to share this with the audience first. And
there's
then
no audience.
There's an infinite audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't
right
hear
there.
it.
I'm not gonna promote you.
I can't hear it. Maybe you just need to turn the volume on the YouTube.
You don't hear that?
No. I don't. Do you want me to pull it up?
Do I have to click anything when I share the thing to share the audio?
I don't know. I can play it on my Spotify pretty easy.
Oh, our live video eroded. Ended. We lost the live video feed on Instagram. I don't know why.
Oh, we did, huh? Nothing on my side says that it's lost.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know what lost it.
You sure?
I'm sure. Yeah, I had it up on my second computer, and on Yardstream it said that it went down.
Huh.
You know what? It might be from playing music.
Like it could tell right away and took it down.
Right.
Off of Instagram?
Instagram dropped, yeah.
I wonder if YouTube dropped. But it's interesting because it doesn't say end live. There's a button for me to press end live video. Let's see. Oh, it looks like we froze. Maybe it is. Is it over? Yeah. I have something fun to show you.
Wait, can we hear the Jim Croce
Oh
song?
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I went to go check Instagram. Here.
Wait, why would we not be hearing it? I'm confused.
Can you share my screen?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I've got a name. I've got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad. I've got a name. I've got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream that he kept here. Rolling me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky. I've got a song, I've got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry. I've got a song, I've got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it now.
If I'm going nowhere, well, I'll go there proud. Such a good song.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts?
So, well, let's go back here. Let's listen to it again. Let's listen to Forbidden Road. Okay. This sounds way more like Don't Think Twice, It's All Right in the very beginning.
Oh, I can't hear you. Should I?
You didn't hear that?
No. Let me add it.
Okay. I was going to say, so I just heard it again, and I still think it sounds more like the opening riff does not sound like I've Got a Name to Me. It sounds like Don't Think Twice. Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. Right?
Totally. Well,
if you don't know,
this is getting me to where I wanted to go, which is I think this is bullshit.
Yeah, so do I. I do too.
I think it's complete bullshit. Every song sounds like every other fucking song.
Yeah.
And they took him out of Oscar contention. And I read the quote from the Academy, and they're like, he used material that wasn't. You know, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is Planet of the Apes going to sue him because he had a monkey?
Yeah, that's
As
insane.
a character, they're like, oh, we did that first, so we own the intellectual property for eternity. No, like every song is ripped off of every other song that came before it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's such bullshit.
I walked along a forbidden road. I had to know, where does it go?
I had a dream. I had a dream. Come on, this is fucking bullshit. I mean, it does sound
Like birds are flying to the sun. I had to run. I'm not the only one. Why do you look at me that way? I'm not a problem that needs solving. The truth is still evolving. Life is the choices that we make. We're the masters of our own fate. The painter and the paint. You need to lose your mind.
It's fucking bullshit.
And it's a weird idea for a movie. Like, it immediately is like, oh, this is weird. But the fact that people are loving the movie means there's something authentic there. There's some authenticity going on.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're just like taking the most important part of the movie and then like ripping it away from the creators because it sounds too much like a song you liked in the 60s. By the way, I love Jim Croce.
70s, probably.
70s,
anyway.
sorry. Thank you. I was going to say that Jim Croce makes me think of me being 16. And that's when my grandfather passed away. So when he passed away, I listened to nonstop Jim Croce. And there's just this association in my psyche between my grandfather passing and all the beauty in the music of Jim Croce.
This fucking like ownership thing, it's just such a hoarding, fearful, creative fucking stranglehold.
What's the famous Picasso quote about stealing art? He's got like a great take on it.
Is it that imitation is the highest form of flattery? Was it "Don't steal my shit, bro"?
If you Google it, there'll be 50,000 memes with the quote from Picasso.
Dude, if there wasn't copying or imitation, or at least, inspiration from other things, then we wouldn't have had fucking Sgt. Pepper.
His quote is, "Good artists copy, great artists steal."
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, here's what the AI overview is. May I share the AI? Because this is incredible. The answer to my question was AI generated on Google. And it says, the quote attributed to Pablo Picasso regarding stealing art is this: good artists copy, great artists steal. Explanation. This means that while a good artist might imitate the style of others, a truly great artist takes elements from various sources and incorporates them into their own unique artistic vision, essentially stealing ideas to create something new.
Yeah. That's what Robbie Williams did.
AI gets it better than the Academy.
It's ridiculous. It's just even part of this. It's an entirely different perspective of making music. I remember Ed Sheeran's been sued a few times, or a bunch of times, or something.
He won that lawsuit, and so did the Marvin Gaye thing with
Robin Thicke.
Yes,
but I think
another example that just infuriates me, because I think they're just wildly different songs.
I think Marvin Gaye won. Didn't the Marvin Gaye estate win now?
Yeah. Won, yes.
So this is kind of the other direction. In there, like you wouldn't want Marvin Gaye to win if we don't, if we want to not stifle that. I remember I heard some quote about Ed Sheeran saying, like, basically what you started with, everybody, like, takes from other people, but even if you don't hear it, there's only a certain amount of different progressions it can be. And he said, if I'm gonna be sued every time I make a song because it has similar chord progressions as another song, he's like, I'm gonna fucking stop making music.
No, it doesn't work, because defending a lawsuit costs millions of dollars at that level. Millions of dollars.
Yeah. And just the stress and having to deal with it, it's just not worth it.
Do you know that before he was famous, Jamie Foxx let him sleep on his couch for like a month, or like months straight, or like live in his house?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's an Ed Sheeran Jamie Foxx connection that would, like, how's that?
Yeah, how did that happen? I'd tell you the first time I
must have connected them, and then Jamie's like, this guy's actually has talent. I want to help him.
I have the very first Ed Sheeran song I heard was I remember this.
Sorry, it was a very funny joke went through my head. Who was Ed Sheeran sued by?
Who?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, that was the joke? Was there a joke there?
No, I'm going to crack a joke as Jamie Foxx if you tell me who Ed Sheeran is.
I don't even know.
My joke was, oh, this guy's really talented. He sounds like, and then insert the name of the guy that sued him.
That would have been good. Yeah, I don't know who it was. It's the first time I heard Ed Sheeran. It was 2011 or 12. A friend of mine sent me a video to it's like it was his first popular song on Facebook. And I remember it because he sent it. Amanda was pregnant with Nate, and it was a song about his newborn son, his newborn boy. And he sent me the song, and it was really beautiful. But I don't think he listened to the whole song. He's like, I just thought about you. Maybe Nate was just born or something. Or I think Amanda was pregnant. You don't find out until the end of the song that the baby died. And so in hindsight, it's kind of funny that somebody sent me a song when I had a baby on the way and said, here, thinking of you. It's about a miscarriage.
Right. It's like thinking of you, and then they send you the Eric Clapton song. About his kid
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, I know you're going to be a
Tears in
dad
Heaven.
soon. So this made me think of you. And they said
Tears in
Tears in Heaven. That's essentially what he did. He sent me a song about a fucking stillbirth. Thinking of you. So it's a beautiful song up throughout until you find out. It still is, but that's how so that was etched in me. And then Ed Sheeran went on to sing Shape of You.
Well, he was famous and had lots of songs before Shape of You. I think of Ed Sheeran and Shape of You because when I went to Bali and fell in love with my wife, that song was on repeat in every bar and discotheque or every venue in Bali. So that's part of my love story with my wife. And even when that song came out, I was like, oh no, Ed, you're doing pop too much. And then I like the song. I just like the song. It's a good song.
He wrote that for like somebody. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but he wrote it for somebody else. I don't know if it was like Justin Timberlake or Rihanna or somebody big or something. And he was playing it for somebody. Maybe it was that person or it was somebody else, so like a big name that you would know. And they were like, no, dude, you got to sing it. He's like, no, this is not my song. Right. And then like somebody had to like talk him into it or something, and it fucking changed and he was already, something, and it changed everything for him. I'm just looking up. I wanted to see what that one song was. It's called Small Bump. That's what it was.
Oh my gosh.
Came out 2011.
The synchronicities just hit me, which is, at some point on our show, I wanted to bring up the theme of death because death is in the air in my household right now. We found out today that my cat died. He's only 5 years old. He shouldn't be dead. He just literally fell over and died. And in thinking about my cat, my relationship with my wife, like my wife had a miscarriage in 2019. And we were so sad when we found out. It was really hurtful and devastating, and every family and every husband and wife deal with that in a different way. And as we were kind of beginning the healing process, I was thinking through like what would really be a great thing for my wife to help put her in a different mood or lift her spirits. And I realized that she really wanted a pet, like a cat or a dog or something. We lived in a small apartment at the time, and I had said no to multiple requests of getting a pet. And the only pet that really made sense at that point was a cat because of the size of living in a small apartment. And so on Christmas Day of 2019, I gave her a IOU card that she opened up and had 3 open boxes, and it says, pick 2 of 3. And it was like cat, dog, pig. And she could like check it off, and it was kind of a joke. But that was in response to a miscarriage. And my cat died on that same day in the wave spell, in the dream spell calendar.
The same day that the seed was planted for Banksy is the day that he transitioned out.
5 years later.
5 years. So that would be 7 cycles. 7 cycles. We were just talking about 7 years. It's a full cycle. He lived a full super cycle. And you might think that he would live 13 years. He made it to the top of the mountain.
Well, as my wife called me in distress today because she found him dead on our property as she was walking to the car, and not only dead, like frozen solid dead, like he was trying to walk into the house and like didn't make it and then just froze overnight.
How do you know he was trying to walk in the house?
It's our theory. He doesn't hang out on the pathway to our house. He hangs out in other spots. He would only be there if he was walking towards the house to come inside. And, we put a cat door in our new house. So he had free reign to go in and out. And Emily even said, and she sent me a text last night, like Banksy didn't come in. And I went outside and called for him, and I'm worried about him. Like, he's been sick, something's wrong. Should we take him to the hospital? And I responded, because I was away in Portland for work, for a meeting. I responded, let's talk about it tomorrow. Like, if we need to take him into the hospital, we'll do it tomorrow. Like, I was gone and this happened.
What does that mean to you?
When I tuned into it to try to decipher it and feel into it, it immediately occurred to me that he was like my spirit animal. Like, I don't know if you've seen Coco. You seen the animated movie Coco?
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie. So good. He's my spirit animal, or our spirit animal. And what I said to my wife was, look, he came here to help us deal with this grief, to come into our life for us to love on him, and vice versa. And he was here for the entire period of all of our kids being born, because we found out that we were pregnant with Rumi shortly thereafter. So he lived through all 3 of our childbirths, and I was like, he was our protector. He showed up for us, and he was like that fiery spirit to help us bring our children into the world.
And he was complete. You didn't want to go to a hospital.
No, that would not have been him. He's a total outdoor cat, loves being outdoors. He needed to die in nature. There's no other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to Emily about this. She was feeling sad because she always thought that he'd like get eaten by a coyote or something. And she was really sad about that. And there he is. And then I was thinking, I could understand, any sadness or thinking what if, or could have been different. But from the other side of that is how fucking rad that he didn't have to get eaten by a coyote. He was like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to get eaten by a coyote. And then you realize, like, oh, how funny. It's like, gosh, I'm just so sad that the cat that I love didn't get eaten by a coyote. We always think it's going to be more.
So I was contemplating the Gene Keys on my whole trip, thinking about Gene Key 57, tuning into like a very important insight / download, just massive downloads about our future together and some things I want to do with you that relate to Gene Key 57, which is about intuition. And then I was like, but how could there be a connection? Because I was like, oh, the synchronicity. There has to. What's the connection between Banksy, my cat, and Gene Key 57, which is intuition? And like one of the things I've been thinking about with oracles and synchronicity is like everything's inside of everything else. So you can draw a line of connection between anything, right? That's what I was trying to do with Ricky Henderson and my cat when I was texting you earlier. Because Ricky Henderson also died.
Yeah.
And the connection I realized.
Ricky died.
Hexagram 57 in the I Ching is often referred to as the wind because it represents all these qualities associated with the wind, like intuition or breath or spirit. And it's almost always translated as the gentle wind. So Hexagram 57, the official name of it, through many, many translations, is the gentle wind. And my kids, when I think about what Banksy meant to them and what he shared with them and what they taught them, the thing I associate most with them, because both of my kids, who are 2 and 4 years old now, not know he's only 5 months, But when they try to go pet the cat, he doesn't like people coming into his space, you know, and he doesn't like kids. He doesn't like other people's kids. He gets the hell out of Dodge when kids are around. He doesn't like that energy that just walks up to him and just wants to get in his space, you know? So both of my kids, the thing I've said to them more than anything when they're learning to be with Banksy is gentle. Be gentle with Banksy. And I realized it's like this refrain. Banksy taught them, let them learn how to become gentle in being with the kitty, which is also like the lesson I have to teach Ayla when she's with my 5-year-old Noah, that she needs to be very gentle. My 5-month-old, thank you, 5-month-old. So there, right there, I found the synchronicity. I found that invisible string between these two disparate events that mean nothing. But in the context of our life, we create meaning.
They mean everything.
Mean everything.
Wow. So beautiful.
This was the first day we got him. January 6th, 2020. We let him out of that little travel bag and we're like, here, buddy. Have some water, have some food.
Do you know how old he was when you got him?
We have no idea. I think 6 months, maybe. He wasn't fully grown. He's smaller here than what he became. So he was a kitten becoming a full-grown cat.
And they're such incredible creatures. Our little furry friends that live with us, this other species, they're just become part of our family. It's like Star Wars. Like you see that and you're like, that's crazy. Look at the completely different species. How do they become friends? How do they hang out? We do the same fucking thing. We have creatures that live in our house and we hang out, we hug and we love them and we like do stuff with them.
Yeah, no, connecting at the mammal level, there's something about the vibration of mammals that we understand each other, like the purring and the connection around.
Dude, I came across this video today of a guy who was a diver and he befriended a shark. It was a tiger shark. I think he called her Emma. And there were but they had a lot of videos of like, he's down there and there's lots of fish and other divers, and she would always just swim up to him and he would rub her nose, and she had like a wide nose. And I guess, and you'd see her eyes kind of move up. And it was actually really, really cute. And he said over the years, like he took 4 like hooks out of her. And he said the sharks are just like dogs. They're not these just monster creatures.
Right.
But she was fearless in coming up and asking for love and to be rubbed. But he said all sharks like that, which is fascinating. And that you were just talking about the mammalian connection, but that made me think about it. Of just all these, creatures and just want to be loved, touched, or held in whatever their way of receiving love.
What kind of shark do you know?
Tiger shark.
Yeah, okay.
But it had like a wide nose.
Right.
And it was a real fucking shark.
Their nose is how they see too, right? Like they can smell blood from miles away, and
this one had like
there's electrical things going on.
Yeah, it would, and like her eye, when he'd rub her nose, her eye would move up, and it looked like how you would draw, like if you were going to draw like somebody who was like stupid, and it's like one eye goes up here and one eye go down, like kind of goofy or something, like
right.
Whatever. Which was actually a bit endearing. Here.
Do you know what the mammalian connection is?
She's just like a big dog swimming up to give you a kiss.
Here, let me show
Who
you
would have
this, and
thought
then
that sharks are affectionate creatures? It's magical. I met Emma in 2001.
do you see her
And
eye?
at first look, she was
Oh.
very scary. Then you realize very quickly that this is a gentle giant. She's not going to attack, but if you don't know how to play with a tiger shark, it could be the last thing you do. What I would do is I put my hand out there and rub my fingertips to my thumb to try to get the shark to see, oh, this guy's going to rub my head. And then it turns and comes right towards me.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's like my octopus friend with a shark.
kind of. Yeah, with a fucking shark. So the mammalian connection, that's a thing.
Well, what's a distinguishing feature of mammals from other animals or plants or fungi or
That live birth.
yes?
Is there another? Should I keep going?
There's a very famous one. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn on my heater. Did you think of it?
The other thing that connects mammals.
Milk. Milk. Mammals suckle from the teat of the mother. The mother produces milk for the offspring.
Mm.
Mammalian milk.
Mm. Closest connected, not energetically necessarily, but like biologically or even metaphorically closest to the earth. Because, yeah, other creatures have to go out and get food for their young, but mammals make the food for their young. That's pretty fascinating. I wonder if we're the only mammals that grow up to sexualize that.
Well, one thing that I've read about or thought about a bunch is like the more sophisticated the animal, the longer the child rearing process is before the unsupported child can become an adult. There's like a long rearing period, right? So like elephants are an example. It takes a long time for a baby elephant to become a full grown elephant, but then they can live 100 years and they're like so wise and intelligent. Versus a baby deer pops out and it's walking right away. Which is something I've thought about so much because like if I asked you, do you think memories can be passed down through your DNA? You would probably say no. But if you think about how does a baby deer know how to walk? It's encoded in its DNA. It doesn't have to be taught. It just starts walking. And then you start thinking about not just genetics, but epigenetics, where we've proven with some really interesting experiments that information can be passed down through multiple generations. And the famous example is, if there was a famine in your bloodline, like if you had Irish great-great-grandparents and they went through a famine, you can see the epigenetic markers through subsequent generations. They're still there. The memory of the famine is inside of the kids and the kids' kids and the kids' kids' kids.
I bet that's with a lot of Jews have the memory of rationing for so much. But there's still this consideration of like,
well, that idea of tikkun olam that we were talking about, of healing time, not just healing the world, but healing the time, healing the timeline.
Well, that would make sense because everything's happening here and now. Because all experience is just being experienced now. Any memory, any projection, any imagination is experienced now.
Right. There's a famous, I don't know if it was Emerson or Whitman or who quoted one of the transcendentalist authors, the past isn't over. It's not even past.
Mm-hmm. It exists now in a different form. It exists as a memory.
And it's still reverberating into the future.
Yeah. Because it's just now. It's just an energetic. The experience of it can be transformed. Have you ever thought of the possibility that you were born into a perception of existence that was created when you were born, and the entirety of all timelines, all history, all stories, everything is unique to the creation of you? Meaning,
can you say this one more time?
Yeah. I'll say this. Sometimes I think, or the thought comes to me, is it possible that I was born into a perception of experience in which the entirety of the stories, of the history, of all of creation was uniquely created to be part of my story as a human being? Meaning, how am I to actually know that anything happened in existence before my birth? You could say, you could look at pictures, there's stories, there's records, but can we absolutely be definitively sure that all of that doesn't exist simply as projection of consciousness within my own mind?
Or the stories that were passed down to us from our parents, which last just a few generations before, like, you can't name your great grandfather or
But what if you didn't, but what if you didn't have a great grandfather? What if each of us is birthed into literally our own universe? And so the stories that come before us are simply that. It's stories that code the movie going around us. We put on the headgear, our soul puts on the headgear, and we enter into a zygote. And now we're in total recall. And everything we experience is a story to create the experience of our lives. And so nothing actually happened before. I mean, well, everything potentially happened before. So I had that thought, and I don't know that I necessarily believe that, but I think it's interesting. But then there's something too about, like, each of us having this calling to do something great, or to be the heroes of our own story. And then we see so many things around us in the world of so many people that don't get to be the heroes of their story. So many people that are murdered in war or become drug addicts or all of that sort of stuff, right? And you think, well, gosh, or even think about my dad or my mom and all the suffering they went through and all these people we know that suffered and all these things, and maybe why will I be different? But what if all of that was all just part of the story created for you to actually become the hero of your own life? What if all of us, like, for all I know, anybody who had an experience that isn't me in my story could just be playing a part in the projection, but all of us potentially in our own stories, what if we all ended up being the hero?
The hero's journey.
The hero, yeah. We all like
Right.
nobody doesn't become
And then
the hero.
you get to heaven and you're like, Banksy, you were incredible. That 5-year stint you did with our family when you showed up and helped protect us and bring our children into the world, that was incredible. And
Yeah.
then- but from Banksy's perspective, whether it was this lifetime or many lifetimes, he's the hero.
Totally.
He didn't just die after 5 years. He's like a totally different frame on the hero's journey, but from his perspective.
Exactly. I was picturing Banksy getting to heaven and there being some mice there that were all bandaged up. And we're being like, you fucking asshole.
Because
sorry guys. Sorry guys.
In theater, we love, and in movies, we love a good villain, right? When somebody's like a really great actor and they play a great villain, we're like, wow, what an incredible performance, right? But when we get up to heaven and we meet Hitler, we're like, dude, that was incredible. You played such an incredible demagogue. Like,
Yeah.
your demagoguery was incredible. Like, have you
Yeah.
seen the videos where he's yelling in German?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
they translate it into English. And you're like, oh my God, I sort of get it now.
Yeah. It's like you were so captivating. I heard Matthias De Stefano. I heard something come through.
I was trying to play something, but I think you might have heard it from my headphones into the microphone.
You sound like a little bit of a screeching. You know, I don't know if we talked about it, but I've heard it come up multiple times very recently from different people that brought up the idea of what was Hitler actually saying? Did we talk about that recently?
No.
Then this is the third unique person in a very short period of time. Oh, I remember where it was. Yeah. So let me just say, I don't know what the fuck this means, but in 3 different instances, literally within the past 4 days, from 3 different people, the idea of what was Hitler actually saying has been, I've heard that. In how's that? What does that mean? What is the universe trying to tell me that 3 different people would bring up the idea of what was Hitler actually saying?
Well, I sort of remember maybe it was Joe Rogan played some clips where people used AI to like essentially turn his words into the English language. And so he's doing these rants and it's in black and white, but then you hear him yelling in English.
Ooh.
It's a very different take on Hitler. I want to say that one.
We should play it because it's literally 3 times in the past 3 or 4 days.
So we'll see if you can pull something up. I just wanted to show something real quick.
Sure. Are we allowed to? Can we play Hitler clips on the show? Is that like?
I mean, I feel like it's a forbidden conversation, but this is the infinite.
Could you, man? Yeah, making a YouTube short and it's like us watching Hitler.
Well, I mean, it was on Joe Rogan, so this whole conversation's already gone viral. Let's start there.
Okay, that's good.
I just wanted to watch this real quick. I'm so sorry. I'm going to turn it down because it's way too loud. This is Coco. This dog turns into the spirit animal.
I don't remember exactly. Oh.
You're a guy. You are. Whoa.
What a beautiful take on death.
I feel like I'm sitting Shiva with my cat, so I apologize, but can I tell a quick Banksy story?
Of course. Yeah.
So when we first got Banksy, he was like halfway through kittenhood. And so we had him in our little 1,000 square foot apartment where Emily and I lived. And he was an indoor kitty because we lived very close to the road. And if we'd let him go outside, there's no way he wouldn't have gotten hit by a car. Like, we live down a street called Galveston here in Central Oregon, and Bend, where I live. Like, it's a major car, it's in a neighborhood / retail. There's bars and breweries around us. Like, there's no way he could have made it through a year without something terrible happening. So we're like, he's not going outside. We lived on the second floor apartment. And then, we're getting to know our kitty, and he's a great cat. He's got a personality, and like getting to know him. And then I don't know, a few months went by, but he started kind of in the middle of the night. He would have a lot of energy, and we'd be sleeping. And then, when your covers like kind of do that thing where your feet move and it like looks like something's underneath there. I don't know if he thought we were mice or he was just something was stimulating him, but he started attacking our feet in the middle of the night. He would like come up and claw us on the bed. And he very much had night owl energy, right? Like, he was awake and alive in the middle of the night when we were trying to sleep. And so it got to a point where it was a little frustrating. And like, what do? Your cat's like attacking your feet in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
And my wife is a total early bird kind of person, but I can stay up late into the night. I'm a night owl. And at the time I was in grad school. And so I'd have these assignments and I'd be staying up late. And like, I realized like Banksy was like my buddy. He'd stay up late with me and we'd hang out. And so we really bonded in that night owlness of our souls. And then one night I just knew, I had this intuition that he wasn't fully satisfied in his environment, that we were repressing something inside of him. And so we'd been letting him go out on the balcony when we were there holding him at the balcony of our second story apartment. And then one night I was like, I'm going to open the balcony and I'm going to let him climb on the roof, because the roof, I checked, there's like no way to get down except jumping from the second floor down. Like, I'm just going to let him go. And sure enough, he jumps onto the balcony and he jumps off the balcony onto the roof and he just starts exploring and he's gone. And I'm like waiting on the balcony for him, and like 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, and then he'd come by and give me a little look, and he's like walking around and sniffing and checking out the whole balcony. And then 30 minutes go by, and then finally he comes back. And I've never seen an animal so happy. Like the purring session that happened, when you like really drop in with a cat and purrs for you, like the purring and the connection and the thankfulness he showed me for letting him out was like next level. And our relationship went to the next level, like it was like, all right, kid, we got this little secret. I let you out on the roof, and I hadn't even told my wife yet. But then over time, it just became our thing. And at one point, I just finally let my wife know, like, I've been letting Banksy out on the roof. It's fine. It's working. And we realized he was an outdoor cat. Like, there was just no two ways about it. So finally, when we bought our first home, we had a backyard, and we were like, oh, we can, and we lived in a cul-de-sac where the car traffic wasn't so bad. We're like, he can just live here outside. And boom, that was when he like really flowered to the next level in his catness. Like, he really became a bad cat. He's an outdoor cat for sure.
It's scary to let him go the first time. You don't know what's going to happen. My dad used to walk our kitties with a leash because it was too afraid of losing them.
Right. That's more and more a thing. People like put their cats on leashes and take them for walks.
Yeah, because we're afraid. Afraid of that loss. Banksy's your spirit, planetary world bridger. But which was yesterday.
Well, Emily thinks he died when she was calling to him to come home.
Hmm.
He just went on the balcony and like yelled for him, and he never came.
There was probably already, yeah.
Well, then she texted me like, Banksy didn't come home. I was calling for him. I'm worried about him. But to go outside, it's freezing cold here. You have to put on your shoes. You have to walk around. You need lights. It's like pitch black where we live, But she thinks she called him and then he tried to come and then didn't make it. That's the story she's telling in her head.
Yeah, it makes sense that, that story would be there. But if he wanted to be home, he would have been home, whether you called or not.
Well, that's what I said, because when I first came across him and I realized there was something wrong, this was Friday. And my wife had taken the kids somewhere. So I was home alone, and I came inside because I work out in the barn. I come inside and I hear Banksy meowing in distress. And I went into our bedroom, and he was in our bedroom, and I couldn't find him. He was meowing, and something sounded wrong. And I was like looking for him. And then I realized he was under the bed. And he was under the bed hiding in total distress. His fangs were out. His cuspids were out. And he's just looked like something was really wrong. So I sat with him for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I was just with him. And he's had health problems before. Like when we had fires here in Central Oregon, he would get like these asthma attacks where there's something, I don't know if he was convulsing or he went into these kind of different breathing patterns, but this has happened like 11, 12, 20 times, such that I thought maybe this was just some version of that acting up, but it also felt different. And his like fur on his face was all wet, and it was on his body too. And I was realized he was like throwing up or just slobbering coming down the side of his face. And he ended up, throwing up under our bed, and he peed somewhere else on a rug. Like he was in distress. And I even thought when this was happening, like, is he dying? Is he dying right now? Like I had that intuition, like he's dying. I just need to be here with him. And then he got a little bit better, because by the time my wife got home, I was like, there's something wrong with Banksy. And he was still hanging out under the bed, but whatever that immediate episode that I witnessed was, he came down from the high of that terribleness to a not better, but no longer in like full distress mode. So we're like, oh, he's getting better, not too serious. And I think both of us thought, oh, he's on the mend.
Yeah.
But the very next day, as I left to go away for one day, and I've been away from my wife like on less times than I can count on two hands in our entire relationship.
It's not an accident. He got to die outside, not eaten by coyotes, without going to a hospital. You think that's how he would want to go?
I don't even have to wonder. That is how he wanted to go, because that's how he chose to go.
Yeah.
He could have stayed under the bed. He could have stayed inside. Inside's warm. Nope. And I saw him. The last time I saw him, I finished my work day, and then I had to drive to Portland, and I saw him on my walk from the barn back into my house as I was getting prepped to go jump in my car and go on a road trip. And I went down and petted him a bunch of times, spent a minute with him. Just, are you doing a little bit better? Is everything going okay? Just dropped in with him. Did not know that would be the last time I ever saw him.
Mm-hmm. It's tough when we don't know. It's tough when you know. But this is part of the experience, but it's tough when you don't know. And there's always a lot of second guessing that we can do. I had that with Boomer.
Mm.
He was something off with him. He was lethargic and he wasn't moving. I mean, he wasn't like unconscious, but he was just laying there and he didn't want to like get up and go for a walk, and something was up, but I don't remember exactly what was happening. Like, I don't know if I was in kind of a weird mood or something. I really wanted to go to yoga. I was on my way to yoga, and I went to yoga. and I think it was probably hot yoga. So I did like an hour and a half. And then I get out, I went to the gym, something, I went to work out, and then I get this message from Amanda that her dad was in town, and they came and found it, and they had to rush him to the hospital. He had something ruptured inside. And I had that guilt of like, fuck, I can't believe I didn't take him in. Like, I just left him there. And
to your point, I don't think he would have liked hot yoga.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But the way that it all worked out, you know, and then also, so we took him in, he had surgery, took him back, but he had a lot of stuff going on. He had cancer and these things. And so we had these pads for him, and he wasn't walking. He wasn't able to walk. But then the day that he transitioned and, you know, we supported it, he actually started to walk a little bit in the backyard without falling. And we were like, oh God, is this the right decision? You know, but I think we just thought he just wanted to get a few more steps in, you know.
I remember this day so clearly. And I remember where I was when you called me to tell me that Boomer, your dog, had died. Because it's the same day I decided I wanted to follow in your footsteps of leadership and create my own way to study the dream spell by studying the dream spell, which in that year fell on number 64 in the dream spell calendar, and the Gene Keys at the same time.
So interesting. So it was July 12th, or was it July 11th? It was July 11th or 12th of 2017. And it was day 50. And so the day you're talking about was 14 days after it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either July 25th or July 26th. So it was
what?
It was.
I knew I was going to start. I was 2 weeks away from starting a thing in my head, which started on the 64th, on July 26th.
But did it start on the first day of the 13 moon calendar as well? If it was July 26th, it started on the first day of the 13 moon calendar.
On purpose. That was the intention.
Okay. And it happened to be 64.
Correct. And that's what inspired me to want to do them together.
Because it was on
the code of 64. And when we were talking earlier, and I looked up in my notes if there was anything that mentioned the Grateful Warrior, it came up, or I think day 4 or April 4th or something like that. And I went back and I looked and realized that it was the solar seed when I had the vision about the number 4, being 4 days away from being 40 days away from being 36, which was 4 years away from me turning 40, which was 4 years away from me turning 44, which is going to happen this year in May. But I didn't realize that we were in the wave spell, because April 1st, this was like right when your galactic birthday was, but this was in the wave spell of the warrior. And I had never put together that vision happened, the solar seed, in the wave spell of the warrior until today.
Wait, you're talking about 64?
No.
The solar
seed.
The solar seed is 204. It's got to be 204 if it's the wave spell of the warrior. I was looking up the dates from 2017. Yeah, it was the 12th. It was the day before my sister's birthday. Wow. The crystal seed 64.
So the vision for me happened on the day of the solar seed. And then that resulted in that kind of commitment to walk a certain path. I started on the 64.
Oh, so it was 56. was 64 days afterwards, and it was 56. So 110 days, sounds like. Is that right?
Well, let's look
It was
at when the solar
100
seed was.
days.
Was it like in March or April in 2017? Because
Yes.
This wasn't until July, but that
March 28th. So it's 56 plus 64. 120. It was 120 days. So a third of a cycle.
Mm.
Wow.
I looking at my notes for it, and I realized I screen grabbed it instead.
Yellow crystal seed.
This was the day. March
Yeah.
28th, 2017.
Yeah.
That's when I meditated on the solar seed and the number 4, which is the seed. The seed is 4. I told you I wanted to share something about Rumi. This quote from Rumi.
It's 111 right now, by the way.
11:11 here. So this quote. Because we talked about mammalian life. This is an incredible story. So, when Rumi was born, Emily's milk came in, and it came in, and it came in. She was producing like tons of milk. So we started banking it, like freezing it and put it in the freezer. And just like Emily's very healthy and eats really healthy foods, and was just her body was like producing tons of milk. But she was having problems with latching. So we started working with a lactation consultant. Beautiful person. And Central Oregon has such great like care providers and people and networks. Like just it's so easy to just find somebody to help somebody else because everybody's doing something really cool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Emily was having trouble with breastfeeding, but she wasn't having trouble producing milk. And so the lactation consultant reached out and said, look, I have a mom who's not producing any milk, and her baby like really needs milk. Would you be open to like finding a way to help? And so Emily said, sure. So we started sharing milk with another family who we'd never met before. And they drive to our house and they come to the front door and we leave the milk outside, you know, on ice or something like that. And this started happening. And then we'd start to say hello, you know, and introduce ourselves. And we like made friends with this family that like Emily's feeding their child with her milk.
Crazy.
And then one day we like really dropped in and we're like, oh, like here's our daughter. Her name is Rumi. And this woman, this mom, looks at us and says, oh my gosh. And like turns her body around and shows us that she has a Rumi quote tattooed on her body.
Wow.
And it was this quote: out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
Is that the first time you heard that quote from her? Because I've heard you quote that, and then is that the origin of you being introduced to that quote?
This is top 3 Rumi quotes of all time. Like if you just start looking around for Rumi quotes,
which doesn't take away from the beautiful synchronicity of the story,
right? And I hadn't spent much time ever thinking about this quote, so I think it may have sounded familiar, but I'd never contemplated it or really sat with that quote. And when the synchronicity happened, then I went down a deep dive rabbit hole of contemplating this quote, including going back and reading the original translations and things like that.
Well,
What do you think it means?
what do I think it means? The quote or the experience of
The quote.
Yeah, well, it's on the surface, which is also very potent. It's just transcends perception and subjectivity. There is no right and wrong. It just is. Beyond our imaginations of differences, beyond our judgments, where we simply exist in a field of consciousness, in a field of love. Even think about that when he says a field, as I'm talking this out right now. So I'm glad you asked. It never crossed my mind to think of it as a energetic field. Just that took it very literally as a field. Out beyond our ideas of wrongdoing and righting, there's a field of energy. Beyond our perceptions, there's a field of energy. Beyond our judgments. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the inside of the inside. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. You didn't mention that line. I hadn't heard that before. Do those normally go right next to each other, or did they just add a second quote?
I've never read the next line. This is the first time I've seen it.
So how does it land with you?
I'm immediately connecting to the idea of fullness because I've meditated extensively on the idea of there's an enlightenment of emptiness. That's the Eastern enlightenment, the Buddha, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the no thingness. But there's also an enlightenment of fullness, which is what the Judeo-Christian and the Islamic tradition were bringing to this earth plane, which recognizes unique genius and the fullness of existence. The great fullness is it's the yin to the yang of the enlightenment of emptiness. They're the same freaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just one is without form and one is with form.
Mm. Mm.
And I also think about the linguistic rational aspect of our minds and how we create these stories or these rules and regulations and morality and moralizing, but love and the field is like beyond that. And that's what I think Rumi was trying to say.
It's powerful.
Like, I didn't come here to preach to you. I came here to love you.
Yeah.
I didn't come here to fix you. I came here to love you, and love will fix you.
Yes. Love will teach you. Love will heal you.
Can you decode the dream spell for Banksy's day? And can you speak to Emily directly, because she's going to watch this and hear these words?
Yeah. The blue spectral hand.
Do you want to do the hand or the one before, or both?
The white planetary world bridger.
Right, because we don't know which day he actually died. He might have died. The transition between those two is when he probably was transitioning worlds.
Somewhere he moved from world bridger into hand. Well, it's, is all part of the process. So planetary world bridger which could be said his last day in his body. You know, even if he transitioned, then the spectral hand ultimately would have been early. The planetary world bridger, it says that we perfect in order to equalize, producing opportunity. We seal the store of death with the planetary tone of manifestation, guided by the power of timelessness. So starting there, it's very appropriate that the world bridger has the power of death. And I can speak as a world bridger, hearing that, you know, the first time, or even when I was starting to get to know it a bit. And you look at some of the other archetypes that, you know, have the power of accomplishment, life force, abundance. It's like death. What? Why did I get that one? The store of death, but it's so powerful because the world bridger is not just between, you know, one part of the world and another. It's not just between cultures. It's not just meeting people, connecting. It's between what we call life and what we call death. Although death is not the opposite of life, it's the opposite of birth. But in what we call, so the really having the power of death, the store of death, understanding that transition, the world bridger is the one that creates the gap to say that it's just another door. But we're all still here. And so in that, there's an opportunity to release fear. And it says that we perfect in order to equalize. When I think about that in terms of Banksy's passing, to be able to transition on a planetary day, have that be the last day, is pretty cool, because it's probably one of the two, along with the self-existing, that are most grounded in the earth. Most, because this one's about manifestation and production. Self-existing is about, you know, form. And so,
Also the wave spell
and measurement. What about the wave spell?
It's also the wave spell of the earth.
Yeah, it's the wave. Yeah, it's the wave spell of the earth. Which, yeah, we can get to. But in terms of the tone, the planetary tone, that it's like, I did it. I made it. It was perfect. It was perfect. And producing opportunity. Think about all the opportunity, like even what Emily shared today of when she was crying and Rumi said, "It's okay, Mommy. Banksy's in heaven." What a beautiful opportunity. You've shared different opportunities produced from that. It's almost like a story of his life. You know, if you read the affirmation, so I perfect in order to equalize. And so it's like led the life that was equal. I could be domesticated and I can be wild. You know, I could equalize, I could take the pain from the miscarriage and bring in the energy of life again. Producing opportunity is the opportunity to live, to be an example of like, we're all going to go, like follow your own path. It's okay. You don't have to be afraid. The store of death, the planetary tone of manifestation, and all of that we're talking about is in form. It actually happened, leading into the spectral hand, which is a day of dissolution, and release and liberation. And so as the physical dissolves, the soul is liberated and released, and the hand is the power of accomplishment. It's just like, I fucking did it. I mean, you know, the times we you know, as Martin Luther King says, of course I want to live a long life, but I'm not worried about that now. He talks about breath, the breath of life. It's more important than the length of life. Releasing healing. You dissolve in order to know. And so the knowledge, it's like, why did you dissolve? Why did you do that? Well, I wanted to know. We can postulate all we want about what happens after death. We can have near-death experiences. We can do, you know, 5-MeO experiences. But as Metatron shared with me, if you haven't done it, then how do you know that you know it?
When did Metatron share that with you?
2018 through Satdev Beer. So I had, not too long after my injury, maybe a year or something, I went to some event and I went up to Sat afterwards and said, and I was just getting to know him, and Metatron's always in his ear.
Can you share the background there? Because I don't know, but I think our viewers probably may not know. So you went to go see someone who channels
Yes, so basically, so Satdev Beer is, call him like he kind of lives between worlds. The first time I ever saw him, I'd heard things about him, like beautiful things. And the first time I saw him going down La Cienega, I swear to God, it looked like he was floating. Like, I didn't know what he looked like. And I went to one of his classes and I just see this guy crossing the street. I'm like, oh, that's Satdev Beer. It's like, it just seemed like he was just.
Is he famous?
I mean, in some circles.
I just want to say quickly for those that don't know, because this is my connection to the name Metatron, that there's a famous tradition of Jewish mysticism and also apocryphal literature in which Enoch becomes the angel Metatron. And Enoch was the grandfather of Noah. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
I don't know that story.
When they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found these books, like copies of these books that were about stories that were not, like, no longer canonical in the Jewish faith and religion. And that's why they're called the Apocrypha, because they're all different Apocrypha from different things. But these were like incredible stories that the Jews who lived near Qumran probably thought were true.
Will you take the photo down for? And I want to hear. I'll hear this just to share as you tell. When you chop it up afterwards, it takes everything. So it's easier to get good footage of somebody telling a good story when there isn't something showing. Unless you want to share that piece.
Well, I'll say this, which is we also have all of the recorded footage from all the different angles. So if we ever wanted to recreate something.
Yeah. But I want you can finish what you were going to say, because I think it's going to be cool. And then we can make a short out of it.
Oh, I didn't even have anything else to say other than Metatron and Enoch are like this really interesting rabbit hole of the history of like the Bible and biblical thinking, like, because these are traditions that forked off into Christianity and Judaism.
Yeah, interesting. So Metatron works with Satdev Beer a lot, although he connects with many different spirits, but Metatron's like right there. And so I went up to Sat and said, I know that for my healing, I'm supposed to go into the dream space, the dream state, go into 5D, find my perfect hologenetic blueprint, the original cells, the original seed of thought, and then bring that back into 3D physical reality and overlay it, to sort of repattern the injury in the blueprint. But I know I'm supposed to do that, but I'm working and learning how to embody it and how to actually do it. And immediately Saad said, well, Metatron just said, like immediately, if you haven't done it, then how do you know that you know it? And I was like, so powerful. And what it means is, it's funny, I just did a share on this. And I'll tell you, because I've contemplated it for the past 6 years. What it means is that when we say that we know something, so often we're just talking about our theoretical comprehension of something as an idea. But it doesn't mean we've actually experienced it as an embodied or integrated state. And from the perspective of a holistic human, and from coming back to the dream spell of the hand, the knowing is an embodied state. It involves not just theoretical awareness, but actually experiential awareness. And so there's a reason why the yellow human has the power, is the one that has wisdom, not knowledge. And that's a conversation in a lot of circles in Judaism, of course, between knowledge and wisdom, but as the dream spell would say, so the hand has the power to know, and the knowledge in the story of creation through the wave spells, the hand comes third. First, creation, the idea, like just creation itself exists. Then it becomes magical and timeless. And then the hand comes to impart its knowing into the physical world. And so the transition from, I did it, I perfected it, and I bridged the world into death, and then I dissolved, and my soul was liberated, and now I know. All part of an accomplishment, the power of accomplishment. So it was a completion with accomplishment, so much accomplished. Think about the role that he played in all of your lives, how much love was created, how much learning and will continue to be, even the stories you shared with the gentleness, all part of the wave spell, to know that there is a matrix of synchronicity that we're navigating through. And it's all perfect. There's nothing that's out of sync with the entirety of the universe. It just may not seem that from our perspective, but from either the most zoomed out or the most zoomed in lens, when there's just one thing, and that thing is love, then it's all perfect. As the planetary world bridger will tell you, perfect as an action. So that's the perfection of the story of Banksy's liberation.
When you're talking about Saad and what he said to you and what that meant, immediately when you started to decode it, it made me think of when I was a young student of philosophy and also a young mystic. I read the work of St. Augustine, who's one of the most famous theologians in the history of Christianity. And I also read Maimonides, who's one of the most famous theologians in the history of Judaism. And they both said something that was basically the same thing, and they said it in slightly different ways, and it made me so angry. They both said that God is unknowable. And me being a young mystic, having these mystical experiences and like feeling my body open up to this portal of some realm that I didn't know how to put words on yet, was angry that they weren't expressing the idea that you could know God, because we can't directly experience the divine through our bodies, our selves, our souls. I don't know how you describe it. But then years later, as I mellowed out a bit more and the angst dissolved a bit more, I was no longer merely a young philosophy student and merely a young mystic, but I was a little bit older. I remember having this moment of revelation when I realized what they meant, which is, if your cup is full, you can't pour water into it because it's already full. Your cup is empty, you can pour water into it. And what they meant by knowing or knowledge is, if you already know, then you're already full. You can't do the thing that you need to do, which is to receive the divine, to receive God by not knowing. And when you do the activity of not knowing, which is one of the most famous books of Christian mysticism, The Cloud of Unknowing by Saint Dionysius, which is a pseudonym. Nobody knows who actually wrote that book. When you
Bill Shakespeare.
William. When you actually do not knowing, when you actually embody not knowing, then you're in a position to receive.
Exactly. That's the takeaway, is that us saying I know is a wall. It's a block. It's our ego being mischievous and wanting to stop us from growing. And so it says, I know. And you experience that sometime with kids when you want to teach them something. Sometimes they're open, but sometimes they're like, no, I know. And it's like, but you don't. Do you want to learn? But how often do we do that? When we share things, and maybe it's from pride, or maybe it's from wanting to not look stupid, or maybe it's from not wanting to give somebody credit or to let them know that we're attentive for so many reasons. When we just say, I know. Oh, I know. And when you say, oh, I know, then you shut the door of curiosity. You shut the door from being open. And so I see that in the space of, if you haven't experienced it, then how do you know that you know? And the conceit that we have, that's very much the eagle conceit, the left brain. The pendulum swung so far where we've gone all into scientism, rational, pragmatic, logical, theoretical, conceptual knowledge as knowledge itself. We miss out on the full spectrum of the human experience and the life experience as well, which, as Max alluded to, and that was the clip that's gotten 566 views, was when he was talking about needing to go 100% for both, which is a great teaching, something that is, the first time I heard that concept, somebody shared with me, was like these two Egyptian gods or something. But it's one I've incorporated a lot. The 100 is
right. You don't want to meet halfway and be 50-50. You want to be 100% of both polarities in their uniqueness.
Fully activated masculine, fully activated feminine.
You don't want to compromise either one of them and shortchange them. You want to honor them in their fullness and integrity and find the bigger picture or perspective that incorporates them both in their fullness.
Yes, exactly.
We want extreme moderation.
Yeah. Balance from absolute amplification.
Right, which I was thinking about earlier today, because all of this stuff that we're talking about was coming in through my contemplations today of Gene Key 57. Like, if you go really, really, really fast in your car, or you're a great athlete and you're like in the moment playing a sport, like people talk about how things slow down, right? You're going really fast in your car and you turn even a little bit, the most subtle turn turns into like a gigantic motion. And same thing where if you slow down, that's how you can tune into the gentleness of the subtle realms. So at both extremes, we actually can access the subtle realms or the causal planes or whatever you want to call it But we can't hear those realms. We literally can't hear while we're talking. We're going through life, you know, blah, 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 blah. Slow down, listen, hear, O Israel. I am the Lord, I am one. And if you speed up, and not just a little bit, because you speed up too much, then you're just kind of neurotic. But if you truly speed up, and by that I mean you drop in fully to the moment, in the action of the moment, like when you're a race car driver paying attention, going 200 miles an hour, like the micro movements are so loud at that point, they're so amplified, right? When you're a great athlete and you're going to kick a soccer ball, you feel everyone and everything around you because you're so committed to the moment and so committed to the action of the moment. And that's where we hear about these different mystical experiential states when people talk about, you know, being so slow that they drop into the meditation of the moment, or being so fast that they drop into the meditation of the moment.
It's full presence. What a day. Man, I think I'm gonna need to
shut it down
soon. Yeah. Find myself really, it's 1:45.
You want to take us out with a song?
Sure. And then tomorrow we can talk about, what was that 7-year thing?
The Shemitah?
The Shemitah.
The Shemitah.
I think I already played.
Obviously, we're going to talk about this, but just real quick. When you sent me the number of monies that was part of the trade, did you realize when you sent that synchronicity?
I mean, I knew that when I put it down, I was like, oh shit. And yeah, I knew that it would be meaningful to you. Yeah. I think I played at some point. We haven't had that many shows, but I think we talk about, and I had played No Hard Feelings by the Avett Brothers. I've already done that, right? It's funny. That's the one that came.
We can play it again. We can hear it again.
We could. I think there's another one though that wants to be. I don't know what it is. Let me see. I have a feeling that I'll know it when I see it. Maybe I won't. I'm looking in my chili chill. If there's a song that you feel would be good to play, I'm open to it as well. I thought, oh, wait, is this it? Oh, maybe this song. It's kind of a sweet song. Let me look it up. It just came to my mind. I didn't have it. So let's share this. Oh, I actually need to play it on. Do you know the story of Zach Sobiech?
No.
Zach Sobiech. Oh, I haven't thought about this in a while. It's a beautiful story. It's a young man in high school who had cancer and was dying. You know, imagine being 15 16, had a girlfriend, and he wrote a song about his process, about knowing that he was going to be transitioning pretty soon, you know, and the song, one second to find it. Give me one sec. Is this? I was going to see which video I was going to play for you. Wow.
Did you find it?
So
or are you looking
I
for
did.
that?
Well, so I was wondering, he wrote this beautiful song, and then, which I'll play for you, but then I remember it, like Jason Mraz found it. And then he and like a whole bunch of celebrities, there's a video of all of them singing along with him. And I'm not a big celebrity guy, you know, but it's so touching. I'm so moved when people come together to share love. One of the most emotional sports experience I've ever had. And like, it was such a beautiful experience. I went to Derek Jeter's last game at Yankee Stadium. And I'm not even particularly a Jeter fan, not a Yankees fan, but I'm a big baseball fan. And I want a historic moment. I wanted to be there and experience
Well, he's
it.
also a stand-up guy and represents the best of baseball in that way. So he retiring wasn't just a Yankee retiring. He was somebody that played the game right.
An iconoclast, played in the biggest market, was the captain, but not to get too far off. So I was there, you know, and the whole time you get 40,000 people screaming, "Thank you, Derek. We love you. We love you. Thank you." And I get emotional thinking about it now. Was that amount so much fucking love, all and gratitude and appreciation being all sent to one place and one person in one bowl? It was a very emotional experience. So I can't find the video of him with all of those people. So let's just play the song. And I'll play the I guess official video. Okay. And let me share my screen. Love you, brother. It's all perfect. Okay. And what I like about this as well is that, I mean, you'll hear it, you know, there's a hope.
I fell down, down, down to this dark and lonely hole. There was no one there to care about me anymore. And I needed a way to climb and grab a hold of the edge. You were sitting there, holding a rope, and we'll go up, up, up. But I'll fly a little higher, go up in the clouds, because the view's a little nicer up here, my dear. It won't be long now, it won't be long now. When we get back on land, well, I'll never get my chance. Be ready to live, and it'll be ripped right out my hands. And maybe someday we'll take a little ride, go up, 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 and everything will be just fine. We'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher. Go up in the clouds because the view's a little nicer up here, my dear. It won't be long now. It won't be long now. If only I had a little bit more time. If only I had a little bit more time with you. We could go up, 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 then take that little ride. We'll sit there holding hands and everything will be just right. And maybe someday I'll see you again. We'll float up in the clouds and we'll never see the end. We'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher. Go up in the clouds because the view's a little nicer up here, my dear. It won't be long now. It won't be long now.